Welcome back, everyone. Today we're going to get into cleaning up, repairing, and putting away those buildings that we took off the railroad last week. Okay, let's get to it.
I can take a picture off of it. Smile. Okay. You're watching us yeah.
All right, welcome back. So what we're going to be using today to repair or clean up some of these buildings will basically be just a small brush, a rag of some type, preferably a clean one. And then for repairs, I prefer using a tight bond wood glue when we have a wood project, or sometimes a heavy-duty plastic. There are times when you'll actually want an epoxy if you have something that's delicate that needs strength. And this is a 5-minute epoxy. It's a good epoxy. It will work. There are those people and those times when you'll want something that's quick and easy, especially if you're building a model for the first time, a building of some type. Now, Loctite makes one. There's a lot of other manufacturers, some that are specifically for the plastic models that have both a glue and an activator. The activator, this one requires that you put the activator on both pieces first and then apply the glue after 60 seconds, touch them together, and they're sealed. Some of them work with an activator that you put your glue on, you put it together, and then you spray a little of the activator on it afterwards, and it makes it set up within 2 to 3 seconds. Pretty good stuff. I've never been that particular about having to have something stuck together that quickly. So I will use a super glue at times, depending on the type of plastic. Some of them the super glue is not good for. But what I found and what I use a lot of is E6000. This is automotive and industrial type adhesives. It is a little thicker than some, so you may not want it where you're going to have exposed parts. You might want to go with something a little lighter like the plastics, the Loctite or the super glue. But if you can hide your seams, the glue on them inside, then this E6000 has been very good for me. It's strong, it's long lasting, it's weather resistant. So let's get into a building here. Okay, so the first thing I'll do, and I like these Polo buildings. Not sure if this was Polo or what. This was from a friend of mine that gave these to me. And I've always wanted a little church, but I had never gotten one before this. So I try to clean them up. Now, something I just felt as I was turning this unit around is that this wall is just about ready to come off also. So something will reset in there. That actually gives me a better chance to do a good cleaning. And I am looking for a wedding couple that can stand out in front of this church, or just some well-dressed Sunday churchgoers. But I will find something eventually that will make this look really well. All right. So with these surfaces, we also have some of the old glue left over. And I normally carry a little pocket knife. I gave this to my dad, and then I got it back when he passed. So I've had that knife for years. You want to take them down, and then I like to scratch the surface a little bit just to make sure you have good adherence. And this also has some glue on the sides that worked to a point, but then it failed. And this has a lap joint where this overhangs part of the roof, and then this piece has a section that overhangs here. Gives it better strength when you glue it back together. And everybody will have their own versions of how they maintain their buildings. Some people like to do painting and such. Personally, I do it one step at a time. I'll do the cleanup and maintenance like this one day, and that's actually come off there. So we'll try some of that different adhesives. I like to do the cleanup, and then on a second day, a different day, I come back and do painting and such. That way it'll let the adhesives dry. Okay, and then we lost our cross at the top of the steeple. I think what happened was we had a windstorm here. When it was up there, it blew off. So I'm going to fix it back on permanently. We do not have to have it separate there. And it goes that direction. Okay, so we've got that repair and put these back on. I think for these, I'm just going to use a standard old super glue. Should be all set to go. There. And it goes in like so. Okay, so first, let's put this back together. The E6000 is a very healthy glue, and it will stick almost anything together, but it does take time for it to adhere. Okay, so we'll use a little bit of masking tape, mostly across the top, so that I can still secure this on the bottom. But we'll close that gap up just by holding it down. A little tape on as tight as I can get it there to hold that in place. And voila, you don't need any of that instant seal. Now, I do like to put enough on that I won't have to come back and do this next season. And this glue has held up really well year after year for me. And actually, I'm going to set the seam here. They will not stay together just as is, and when you set that down on there, they're going to slide apart because this adhesive takes a while to set. So it's just temporary, long enough to let this set and adhere. And okay. And last of all, after this is all set, then I will glue this in place. But as I have temporary tape here, I'm going to let this building set for a while as is, and we'll come back to it after we get going on to the next building. So let's move along. And there's our next building to work on. So first thing, I just do a little cleaning, get some house cleaning. I didn't really do a lot while we were out there on the layout. Now this has a loose piece here. Lots of dirt. A lot of this dirt came from the last heavy windstorm, rainstorm that we had. It really blew and really got things dirty, messy. Now this one was actually sealed up with silicone seal inside around the lips there and edges. You might be able to see some of that. It worked. It kept it in place, and all we need to do is glue this back in place. Okay, now I will normally keep a number of pieces of scrap wood laying around just so I can use them to put glue into the places where I want it. And again, I'm going to be using my E6000, which is a clear adhesive. And it's fairly thick too. It's not going to be a real lightweight adhesive for you. It's going to do the job really well. Okay, you probably can't see that very well, but I've put adhesive inside of that seam. And I'm going to put a little more down front here. Again, we're going to use some of that cheapy masking tape, which actually this masking tape is pretty cheap. I have had it here in the garage for a long time. And we'll just put a little around that to hold this piece back down so it doesn't fly away. Okay. Now that one is actually fairly clean. Most of the decals are good on it, so I won't have to do a lot to that. What I may do is take and paint the roof so that it's all the same color for the next season. All right, on to the next one. Okay, so this is actually a half house. If you look in, there's nothing in there, and this has actually lost the cover that went over the chimney. I think that was in shipping. These were shipped to me from Florida. So the park benches have been broken off a little bit and damaged. This one has 4 legs. This one only has 2 of the 4 legs. So we'll be repairing that later. I have some scrap pieces in the house that we'll get for that. Right now we're going to clean these things off a little bit, and we'll sweep up the floors later, but we want to get rid of all of this stuff from my trees. 70, 80-year-old cedar trees out there that I've run the railroad around. Okay, so this isn't too bad. It does have a lot of little pieces that are into these crevices, and we'll sweep out what we can of them. Yeah, both sides are really loose, so we'll take care of it like this. As you can see, I've just dabbed a few places in here where the glue will set along the cracks. And we will start with that door. Okay, this door is in. And look at that, that door went in all by itself. So we have this one cleaned up. Okay. Now, let's get the other half of this. Okay, so here is the other half of that building. And the building would actually fit up against this side. So you'd have a nice, in fact, I think it fit over this area. So you'd have an L-shaped building here, which was a winery. And here is the cap on this one, that there should be a cap on the other one. So I could just take some plastic for posts and do something like this for the other one. Get it back into condition again. But this building is actually in pretty decent shape. It is missing some of the architecture here, some of the trim work. And the name has long since worn away, so we will work on that. I have more signage that I can make up to go into here. That's always nice. No wasp nests. Yeah, this is a Pola building. And a lot of what I like to do is have buildings lit for the nighttime operations, so I will probably be putting lights in these. Well, some of our club members, Chuck Carlson and Bill Thurston, actually had an Arduino set up where lights would come on in one section and then slowly go out there and go to another section and come on, as if a security man was walking through or the workers were going from one area to the other. Very nice. I've got to get together with them and have them teach me how to use the Arduino a little better. I know. There is Arduino for Dummies. And thank you, Chuck, for telling me that, but I'm terrible at reading books. I'm better at having things told to me. So that building actually did not take any real work. Most of it's tight. It does need a little maintenance on it, and we will get to that. But today it's mostly just cleaning up. So let's go do another one. Okay, nice little one. Mostly seems to be held together. Now the chimney was never painted on this one. It's just a white chimney the way it comes out of the kit. This was your Red River station, just a small train station. And the wind and rain really did a number on these things. It threw the dirt up onto the buildings and really added some dirty looking buildings to my railroad. Let's keep them out of there. This is a Pico again, which I like them. They're fairly heavy, fairly sturdy. Good little models, good little buildings. Okay. And boy, I'm going to have quite a cleanup to do here in sweeping the garage floor. Okay. And here we have Ma and Pa Kettle's house. No, I don't know whose it was. But we will come up with some kind of a good name. Now here we have some damage already. Or some, not damage, it's just the rain gutters are falling off. It's one thing a sailor never wants a dull knife. It could save your life sometimes having a sharp knife. Okay. Another tool in a sailor's tool belt. Sharp knife. All right. And I'm trying to keep all the glue back out of the gutter itself, so it's just on that lip that glues to the underside of the building, the eave. Okay. That'll take a while for that to set up. Again, we'll just use a tiny bit of tape just to hold this end in place. That end is being held in place already.